There are several factors to consider when selecting a site for an effluent pond. The purpose of the site investigation is to determine whether a pond can be built that will be structurally sound and meets local, regional and district council regulations. It's important to check milk company requirements as they govern how close ponds can be to dairy sheds. Topography is crucial. Ponds should be sited on a flat area and should not be on a slope where a rupture could occur if there's a landslip. A site investigation should have enough detail of the various soil types at the site to ensure the pond will be located in an area of low permeability soils to reduce the risk of seepage. This investigation will also have a bearing on the suitability of various lining options for the pond. Look out for utilities like overhead wires, underground pipelines and general farm infrastructure like electric fences.
So we're now in the paddock where we think we want to site the pond. Just having a quick visual look around. There's a stormwater drain at the back of us, at the side of us, one to the back. Nice open aspect, and there's no overhead power lines. We have got a cattle trough just to the right, so we're mindful of any utilities that might be under here like pipes. There's a nice access track so that the digger can get in quite easily. And we've also noticed a bit of a depression in the paddock which we might want to have a look at in a moment or two. But just in terms of the testing that we're doing, we're quite happy with the site that we've chosen so far.
Before there can be any excavation, service plans should be checked. Often they'll only include roads and major lines, and if there is anything else that the farmer has put in, there may not be any plans for that. In that case, it may pay to have someone come out and locate the services on site, and you may want to hand dig, for example to find pipes leading to troughs before excavation starts. Don't forget the obvious. Make sure the digger can get to the site and won't ruin any underground utilities that could be damaged by such heavy machinery in the process. Once the preferred site is established, the next step is to look at the soil profile and the strength of the soil. Each cubic metre of water weighs about 1 tonne, so the soil has to be strong enough to hold that weight and not breach due to low strength. A tool called a scalar penetrometer measures the strength of the soil and gives a rough idea of the soil structure.
Obviously this is a very soft soil, and you can see from the results that I'm getting that the soil is not stiff and is probably a peat type soil.
Another quick way to see what's beneath the surface is to use an auger to take core samples down through the soil profile to ascertain whether it's suitable for a foundation or can be used in the construction of the pond.
The soil that we pulled out from the top is a silt. We've now reached a depth of 850 millimetres and have encountered a different type of material. This is a brown silt, possibly containing clay. To actually ascertain whether it's going to be suitable, we would probably have to take this back to the lab. We can also, in the field, do a couple of simple tests just to see what the material may be. One of the simple tests we do is a pat test. We'll be patted very gently. If the water comes up to the surface as it has done here, it indicates that it is silt. The other test that we can do that is very simple is called the roll test. If we can get this to roll down to a 3mm diameter worm, that would indicate that it also has a clay content. But to verify this, we'd have to take a sample in a push tube and probably a bulk sample back to the laboratory and do further testing there.
Once a trench is dug, it's easy to see the soil profile, and this allows a larger sample to be taken, using the digger to push the tube into the soil. Taking it out again is done the old-fashioned way. In the laboratory, the samples taken on site are tested for permeability to make sure the material is suitable for pond construction. The standard required under regional council rules is usually a permeability rate of 10 to the minus 9 metres per second for a clay liner. Specialist instruments are also used post-construction to make sure it's up to a safe standard. A nuclear densometer measures the density of the material to ensure it's compacted, and a Pilcon shear vane is pushed into the ground and twisted to give the shear reading and the strength of the material.